Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Atlaran Adventuring Company. I am your Dungeon Master, Taiylor Wallace, and joining me, I have Astrid Knight.
Hello, you can find me basically everywhere at Astrid K Writes or on my website, astridknight.com. I have a book, whoop, it's called Perception Check. Do you like being D&D and having sad? Then you'll like this. There's direwolves, there's swords and stumps, there's gay. Um, yeah, check it out.
We also have Blake Wolfe.
Hi, I'm Blake Wolfe. I write books about werewolf dicks. You can check them out. They're great. People seem to like them. It's good one-handed reading. Um, so that's it. You can find me everywhere. Everywhere good times are sold.
We also have Zack Gale.
I don't know how the fuck to follow that up, if I'm very honest.
With just be concise and straightforward. That's all I ask.
With poise, that is how you follow it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zack Gale.
Zachary.
I, too, have written a book. Some empty houses might really be haunted. It's full
How
of
many
horror
different
shit.
angles can you pull this in from?
360.
Honestly, at least 4. So yeah, you can find it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. It's full of spooky shit. It's a thin book, so it too, I guess, is a real easy one-handed read.
If you like monster porn, you'll love it.
Oh, but only for one scene in one story.
No, there are so many monsters in there that I know people who would.
Yeah, but only one of them fucks.
Well, all of them. All of them do. We need to finish this fucking intro.
It's gonna be our
We also
thumbnail.
have Zack Koop, who is our long-suffering now producer.
Yeah, still suffering, no longer streaming.
Perfect. Cool. Thanks. As I mentioned, thank you, Koop. My name is Taiylor Wallace, Dungeon Master and Editor at one point or another. I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Oh, well.
You can find me at Taiylor Wallace. Make sure you misspell Taylor with an
I
or you'll never find me. All of our links are in our
Why?
link tree on screen or in the descriptions wherever you're watching or listening. We also have a Redbubble. Support us, and we might have some fun new stuff soon. That'll be cool. I'll design some shit. Maybe I can make stickers out of our tokens. I would love that. Okay. Anyway. We have an intro to roll. So last time, you guys arrived at the outskirts of Oscary on Killian Island, Third Rear. You saw the Black Abbey and the Clarion Basilica. You were escorted to the Harbor District by a young, kinda stupid guard named Cal, and you met up with the harbormaster, and he gave you a quick rundown on some fun things about the city, like the fact that you shouldn't go out at night because you'll die, and everybody has dolls in their windows. You also briefly met a Zerda Vixu named Ace, who was a courier for the Vodra Post and brought a letter to Damian. After that, you guys got not just rooms, but a whole floor at the Ivory and Red, a sort of medium class inn within the city. And all along the way, Todd was drawing tarot cards for everybody and just predicting doom for everyone. Lastly, after you guys got into your room, set your stuff down, you decided to head off to the Black Abbey at the harbormaster's advice to speak to the Abbess, among other people. And Cal is also off getting you guys information about who was on duty at the gates last night. You guys are headed across town, passing through the
Would you
different
say we're
neighborhoods.
making
No.
our way?
You guys are headed to the Black Abbey.
We're going downtown.
No.
Where your life's a joke?
I am using Todd's token as a marker for where you guys are at, just because I figure the chicken's a good mascot. You guys might want to hop into Roll20.
If it works for KFC, it works for me.
But a chicken isn't even their mascot.
No, it's a dude with a French bow tie.
It's a chicken in a man suit.
He's just a humble southern
Oh my god,
chicken
what if
peddler.
Todd turns out to be Colonel Sanders?
In a
Oh
chicken
god.
suit.
What if
I
Todd turns
think-
out to be a man in a chicken suit?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that at one point that was actually an idea to play Colonel Sanders. But anyway, you guys head for the Black Abbey, just outside town, but still within the ring of bastions. I've marked where the ivory and red and the harbor office are for you. Along your way, since you guys are kind of retracing your steps back, you go back across some of the mosaics you've already seen. You will have also seen, if anybody cares, because I know some people had questions about the dragon mosaics. You guys would have seen the Maka mosaic, and that one has a blue dragon, still also holding on to that black disc. But as you head out of the city and approach the Black Abbey, Oscary is generally pretty quiet anyway, but it gets even quieter once you leave the city boundary. I almost said city walls, but they're like garden walls, basically. The Black Abbey, on the other hand, is surrounded by some pretty tall walls, upwards of 25 to 30 feet. They have parapets and towers, and it looks like an actual sort of defensive fortification, though you will find that all of the gates are wide open and there are no guards up on the walls, at least not at the moment. On your way, you did pass by some of the what you assumed were supposed to be the night guard, men and women in black plate armor covered in spikes, almost like thorns, with dragon head shaped helmets, tall tower shields, and spears. On your way there, is there anything you guys want to take a look at? Any place you want to visit? Any questions you might have about the area?
I'm a chicken.
You are a chicken.
I want to just at one point like fall back a little bit with Ezra.
Oh god.
Can I just ask a favor of you?
Sure. You can ask me anything.
This trip has taken a bit of a toll on me, and if you could just do most of the talking when we get in there, I would appreciate it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I not normally do that? You're not much of a people person, so.
No, that's the other reason I'm asking.
Yeah. I mean, this is all just kind of unspoken, right? So.
Right, but normally when I do these jobs, I don't have someone with me.
Yes. I know.
Okay.
Okay. I will do that.
Thank you.
As you guys are talking, Ezra, you will hear in your head what sounds like Damian's voice, and he's like, "It sounds like he needs a cough drop." That's it.
God Can I look around and see if I'm trying to
I love
figure
this,
out how
like,
I
This
Batman's-
is what you were talking about.
Yep. I love this like
Visions.
Batman Dean Winchester voice you're doing.
Yeah.
I thought it was more
Um,
Roy Kent, but okay.
It's all
A
Oh,
three.
little bit.
Yeah, it's very Batman. Can I look around? I don't know if I would. Well, I
Can
know
I
that
make a
Todd
persuasion
is.
check to convince you that it's actually Damian's voice?
Sure, go for it.
Can I, Taylor? Is that okay?
That what is Damian's voice?
That the voice that Ezra heard in their head was actually Damian's voice.
Yes.
I don't-
Persuasion versus deception.
Or should it be
versus insight.
deception?
Yeah.
Deception.
I just realized the ramifications of this. This
Yeah.
basically means that Todd is taking on sort of a Kenku ability, but only psychically, which means
Mhm.
that Todd is going to become the group's Bumblebee, but instead of
Oh,
using the
God.
radio to communicate, he just uses the people
Everybody
around him's
else's.
voices.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it. What'd you get?
a 24.
Ah, I got 23. A 23.
I got a plus 7 insight, baby.
I have a
So-
plus 8 in deception.
I'm trying to think, like, I just look around for a little bit and I go to Damian and I just say, "Did you say something just now?"
Yeah, I asked if you could. Are you okay?
Whatever. Probably just hearing things. My inner monologue is starting to sound like you. That's always great. Yeah. I will do the talking. Don't worry.
Okay. I'll just
Okay.
turn and head back to the rest of the group.
He just continues to get more raspy.
You know,
yeah. Honestly, I think you have since last.
We cut the length of the episodes in half, so be prepared for 120 episodes of this.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. You guys approach the outer gate of the Black Abbey. As you get there, you see people going in and out of the Abbey. People walking in with empty baskets, and the people who come out have full baskets with, what time of year is it? It's spring. With all kinds of like early spring harvest sort of things, and some things that maybe have been grown over winter here. All kinds of berries and that kind of shit. I don't remember what grows in early spring. But what you do see around the sort of complex as you step toward the gate, step through the gate, is a number of buildings on the eastern side. You can see some like residence halls that have their own courtyards. Some of the buildings closest to you have workshops that are partially outdoor. There is one strangely kind of shaped building to the south that is made of all these strange angles, and you don't see a door to it from your perspective, but you do see a big like domed roof to it. And towering over everything is the Clarion Basilica, which we already discussed is the biggest cathedral in Thurgrir and one of the biggest in the entire world. So now that you are in the courtyard here and surrounded by a lot of plant life, a lot of gardens and orchards that are being prepared for the start of the season. A lot of the trees are still pretty bare. Most of the gardening plots have started to be prepared, but only really those that are going to grow the earliest things. The walls are lined with sort of English ivy and a lot of dead ivy from overwinter, and then some things that have still survived. You see a lot of the buildings are covered in moss and plant life that's managed to last through the winter. And there are wells dotted here and there that people are using. Where would you like to go?
Library.
You don't know where that is.
Not yet, but I'm going to find out.
Are there any children passing by, or monks,
God.
or old people?
It's always children. It's always children.
Uh-huh. Are there children or
Um,
old people?
They're
You don't really see kids around this area. You saw plenty in town, but not really in the Black Abbey. But you do see plenty of people in sort of gray habits walking around. Some people in a light version and non-spiky version of the armor that you saw some of the Night Guard wearing. And you do spot a few people who have these, they have the gray habits, but they also have purple and silver sashes or, like ties around their waist. It looks like the people who live and belong here kind of live like not D&D monks, but more like the, churchy monks.
Ew.
Taiylor, how do... Just taking a look around this courtyard here, we have what Damian has put together. It's probably the soldiers that are part of the Ebonmane, and then probably these gray-clothed monks as well. How do the regular townsfolk regard the Ebonmane? What are the looks that I see?
Okay. Yeah, the sort of regularly dressed people that you see around, they don't seem to be bothered by the presence of these sort of dark-plated knights. And there's not a whole lot of the men and women in dark armor out at the moment. You see some like city guards around here. And then a few people in habits that have like some very light leather armor as well. There seems to be just kind of a mutual respect going on, but also people don't bother them. There's a lot of like casual conversation that happens between the people who live at the Abbey and the townsfolk, but no one is really approaching or talking to the knights.
Does anyone seem afraid of them?
You don't gather any fear from it, just a sort of healthy distance.
Last question.
Yeah.
Looking around this courtyard here at the numerous buildings that I see, and also the guards themselves, do I see dolls on anyone's person or in any windows here?
Make me a perception check.
It's not wonderful. 11.
Okay. You do not see any dolls in the vicinity, but you do see that from where you're standing, you can see two of the residence halls. It's these two U-shaped buildings with a courtyard. You can see that painted on those buildings, there are these gigantic, they're reliefs that are then painted. These gigantic, sort of legendary-looking dragon figures, and they're all... The ones on the residence halls are completely different from one another. These other buildings also have a lot of reliefs and paintings on the outside that depict anything from knights to dragons to mythical creatures to things from other realms, but no dolls anywhere that you can see.
I will just kind of nudge Ezra and just point to all of the empty windows. Like, I won't say anything, but I will point out that there very clearly is not any dolls in the windows here.
Ezra, give me a quick religion check. because you have credence to notice something here.
8.
Okay, that's fine. It's not hard to notice because they're fucking
Okay.
gigantic. On the, you see like a lot of the paintings, and you can kind of pick out a few characters you recognize, but the reliefs on the residence halls, they're gigantic to the point that they wrap around corners. Like these dragons covered the whole building. And the two that you can see, you recognize who the two dragons are because they're fairly famous. One of them is a sea dragon called Mudral, who is known to have lived in the Sea of Greenhall in Harris. And the other one, everybody would recognize because he is probably the most famous of the dragons on the residence halls. You see an orange and white dragon with blue eyes. He's sort of an Eastern style. He has the long whiskers. You see Mazgeld, and he is surrounded by ocean imagery.
Mazgaldanir.
Yay, man!
Yeah, also known as Mazgeld, Mazgeldanir, and known to be Tal Dunost's cousin and the grandson of Tiamat and Atlaran. He speaks for the Tal Dunost.
The mess.
But yeah,
The ocean.
obviously you guys already know who
The voice of the
Mazgeld
tide.
is, but for the sake of the stream, in both of the previous campaigns, we've run across Maz in the form of a clownfish or a dragon, speaking for the Titan of the sea, Tal Dunost herself. And like I said, he is her cousin, and they're very, very close. Their parents are Urseomat Atara and Alsana Atara, the two dragons that respectively protect Ralden in Garrett Aldathas and the Malandrada in Amnoblin. Mudral is a character you're probably not as familiar with because he's mostly known in Harris, but he is known as in legend, whether or not it's literal, he is known as the father of sea serpents.
I look over at Damian and whisper, like, okay, so what do you want me to... You're saying I need to say something to someone. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? Okay.
Sorry.
I look
it's
over.
really
No,
been a
is
day.
there
What?
somebody walking by, like a monk or something like that, just passing by us right now?
There's
Monkey.
loads of people. If you want to
Okay,
grab
cool.
a monk, you can.
I will lean over to the first monk I see, and I said, "Excuse me."
Yeah, I'm gonna say dwarves are pretty common in Third Rear. You find a dwarf lady with a beautiful long red beard and long red hair, all nicely braided and full of beads. And she like stops in her tracks and looks at you. Yes?
Um,
Can I help you, Donna?
I look at Damian. I think it was just
Is that a problem?
I will. Okay, sorry. I'm just.
We need
you
to talk
you
to the High Priestess, and we need to find the library.
What he said.
Do you mean the Abbess?
Sure. Oh, sorry. The card was the... It's been a long day. Yes, the Abbess. And one of us wants to find the library and see if he can get access.
Oh, well, both the same place. If you follow me, it's just over at the Basilica. And you see she's carrying like a little basket with like some early spring flowers, and she turns on her heels and just kind of, you can see she's kind of rotund, so she kind of waddles a little bit.
As she's walking, when she turns her back to us, she's gonna hear in her head, "And I really need a cough drop." Do I need to do deception again?
Oh my god. Please.
Not for this lady.
Okay.
Please let them have a cough drop, and then Damian's voice is just normal after that. Turns out it's just like
It's
like a
like,
throat
oh my
condition.
god, thank you guys so much.
It can be like Fran Drescher and the mustard. It only lasts for about 30 seconds and then it's gone.
She, as she's going, she kind of slows down and looks over her shoulder at Damian, and she says, "Oh, we'll get you taken care of. No problem, dear."
She's Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
You
Just huck a Ricola at him.
just said that. You just said you were gonna do that.
Oh no, but you said you. Are you feeling okay? You sick? Do you need an extra? I can get you like some medicine for your throat. Do you need to see a doctor?
Ezra,
You don't have to worry about paying for it.
Ezra's like laughing behind his hand.
I'll go put like a hand on this monk's shoulder. Thank you, but I will be fine.
I'll still check in the infirmary for you. And she sort of pat and continues on her way.
No healers.
She turns back and looks at you. She's like, "All right. Anyway, follow me. Follow me. Where's the drugs? I need the drugs."
Where's the drugs go?
I was fully intending Damian to be the one everyone makes fun of all the time, so
Good,
it's
alright,
okay.
cool.
But she takes you down between the buildings, and you pass by 4 more of the residence halls, which are also decorated with reliefs and paintings of great famous dragons. And as you come around to the Clarion Basilica itself, you could see the like domed top and sort of the steeples before, and like the bell tower. But up close, the back of the Clarion Basilica is much taller. It's this gigantic cylindrical area with a domed roof. The front part of it has the steep triangular roof, and then the entrance is sort of 3 huge walls that are kind of staggered from each other, with a gigantic staircase and several doorways leading inside. The front of the basilica has a huge stained glass window above the doors that makes up most of the wall space, to the point where it has to have steel reinforcing going through the actual glass itself. And you see that it is this sort of spiraling image of the 5 heads of Tiamat's Hydra form, and the glass slowly shifts color in between each one. At the very center is a clear circle in which you can see a tiny image of Atlaran is placed, that the dragon heads all surround. But the monk, she leads you up the stairs and in through the sets of open, sort of old-looking wooden doors, and you're greeted by a long, sort of classic cathedral hall full of pews and columns. There is a choir loft that runs the whole length of the area with the triangular roof, and then it opens up into the big cylindrical area that you see is cut in half. The back half is walled off into, you assume, offices, apartments. There are stairs sort of switchbacking up the walls there, leading to doors on the different stories. Sitting against that back wall, there is a pulpit, and behind that there is a massive statue of Tiamat herself in her humanoid form. The statue itself is not painted. It is just a beautiful, tall woman with long hair and a very sort of draped gown that doesn't cover her shoulders. Kind of a classic design for the Balin gods. And behind her on the wall, in a relief and also painted, is the 5 heads of the Hydra dragon. As you enter through the sort of triangular hall, you will see that on the ceiling, painted kind of similarly to the Sistine Chapel, but all one piece, there is a black dragon with purple eyes that kind of coils across the ceiling. On the west wall is another black dragon with green eyes. On the east wall, another black dragon, this one with blue eyes. And across the floor, you see another image of Mazgeld in his dragon form, wrapped around the Titan Toldunost herself. And if any of you glance behind you as you come in, you'll see that above the door, a small but beautiful relief and painting of Atlaran. She has, like, there are references to her everywhere, but they're small. And inside the Basilica Cathedral, you see there are more monks. There are knights posted near the doors and at certain areas along the pews. You can see there are plenty of townsfolk in here that are kind of doing their own thing. There's no service going on. And standing near the pulpit, but not presiding over everything, you see a sort of taller, very thin woman in a set of robes that mimics the habits, but is more like a gown than a habit. And she has braided purple and silver sort of decorations to this robe. At the moment, you see her speaking with a dwarven man who maybe comes up halfway on her. Now, mind you, he'd be taller. Dwarves are not halfling short. They're like 4 to 5 feet tall. He's probably about 2 feet shorter than her. She seems to be, you guess, maybe partially moon elven. And the dwarf she's speaking to, you see he has a patch over one eye, and he is wearing a version of the black dragon armor. His does not have spikes on it, but you can see that there's points in his armor where they can actually be screwed in. And they are just casually talking. The dwarf is currently holding on to a black-bound book with a purple reptilian eye stamped and painted into the cover. But as you step in, the monk that's escorting you gestures to the pair of them, and she says, "Well, feel free to go right up and introduce yourselves. They're very friendly. Just so you know, the Abbess, everyone calls her Guinevere, but her name is, of course, Guinevere Bronwyn. And that is the Ordermaster of Ebonmane. His name is Kedwin Highweir. And I'll write that down for you guys, because they're weird to spell. They're Welsh.
Is there anybody praying?
Yes, plenty of
Oh
people.
no!
Oh, Todd!
Is there anybody who looks like they really need it?
Make an insight check.
Insight check.
This better be wholesome and not.
21.
Tiamat has sent a chicken.
Yeah.
You see that kind of alone away from some groups of people in a what during a service would not be a great seat to have off in a corner. There is a pretty rough looking guy. You see that he's got bits and pieces of like city guards armor on him, but he seems to be off duty. Some of it's been taken off and dropped on the floor next to him. He's got kind of the do you know what Joel from The Last of Us looks like?
Yeah.
Not what's his fuck, but the original.
The game. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You put some respect.
Pedro
Pedro
Pascal.
Pascal.
I forgot what his name was. I'm sorry.
The Mandalorian.
Kind of
Yeah.
that like classic rugged 40-year-old cishet white man look.
Cool. I'm into it.
But yeah, you get the idea that he's going through a rough patch, if not a rough mile. And he's sitting there. There's none of this in Atlaran, really. It's more of the just like folding hands over each other. He's sitting there with his elbows on his knees, and you can see him kind of with a 1,000-yard stare at the back of the next pew, just with his hands up to his
speaking out
face.
loud?
Make a perception check.
Natural 20.
Yes, he is. And you can just hear him.
Would give me the little no. While I'm listening, as a bonus action, I'm gonna burn 3 sorcery points to get a spell slot back.
Cool. Yeah, the gist of what you hear is him. It's kind of disjointed where he's just kind of train of thoughting this at the moment, but it's basically
He's
like
thoughting.
train of thoughting.
Train of thoughting.
Where he's sort of lamenting like a hard winter. He's like, I don't know how much longer we can take the lockdown. They're running out of money for the payroll. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep the house any longer. And him just airing these sort of grievances that he has, and he says, I just need a break. I just need a break, or I need to get out of here. But I need money to get out of here. I would do anything to just start new.
And I'm taking Ellie with me.
No.
Yeah.
It's canon. His daughter's name is Ellie.
Does he give any indication of like how much money that is?
What do you want to know the value of? Like what it would cost to move somebody, or
Yeah, what would it cost to get the hell out of here to like move to another city?
Well, you already would know that the price for the Kilkelly ferry, which would take him to Amran across the strait or another city a little further up the strait. The ferry itself is 5 gold, which is nothing to sniff at when you're a normal person.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
For like rich people, that's pocket money, but for him, that's like
$500.
kind of. To actually like move a family, like not counting the ferry cost, but just like the cost of moving and getting a new place, could run somebody anywhere from like 50 to 100 gold just moving within the continent.
I think sure, let's do some balance. I think I'm going to the chicken is gonna walk over to him and just like under the pews, he's just gonna sneak away from everybody else, which is gonna be a 25 to stealth away.
Does anybody have a passive perception of 25 or higher?
heck no.
No.
At level 5, no way.
No.
Not yet.
Okay,
In,
so the chicken
in
stealths
everything
away.
that's happening, yeah, you can slip away.
He stealths away, and he hops up on the pew next to this guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he just like turns his head to the side, gives him that like weird chicken stare.
Yeah, he's like this, and he slowly looks.
And as soon as he looks at me, he hears in his head, Tiamat is listening. And then Then I pull a small pouch out of my side bag and drop it, and there's 10 coins, and I'll give him 10 gold coins.
Aw.
Okay. Make me a Make me a performance check.
Ooh,
A
charisma's my
dissuade.
highest thing. Oh, I just threw my dice everywhere. Oh, that's not great. 10?
I mean, versus a normal average guy, that's not bad. Yeah, he. So
rolled a 2.
what does Todd just like slaps the coin pouch down, or?
Yeah, he does that. You know when chickens pick things up like mice and they just like huck them?
Yeah.
He like just flicks his head and the coin pouch just like hits the guy.
I like to imagine it's like watching any bird like trying to crack a nut open, where they like pick it up and then bam.
They just like whoop like immediately, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't work very well.
Yeah, it just bounces back in their face. But yeah, the pouch of coins drops, and he looks down, looks at you.
He
What?
as soon as he looks at me again, I'm like, "Don't ever tell anybody about this." And then I fuck off. Wait, I don't run away. I'm gonna stand right in front of him, and I'm gonna go, it's just verbal. So I'm gonna go, and just gone immediately. And I will Misty step 30 feet away back to the group.
Oh my god.
Okay, Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This man just had a religious experience.
He
You
is
might
going
have
to
just
think,
started a cult.
yeah, he's gonna think that there's like a saint of Tiamat that's a chicken. From the distance, like you're able to like with your stealth that you rolled, you're able to like easily spy on him. You see him like frozen there for like a hot 10 seconds. And he slowly reaches down and opens the coin purse, and he sees the money inside. And you see him look up at the ceiling where the painting of Tiamat is. And he sort of presses the pouch over his heart, and like he's having a moment of like faith being realized.
Oh no.
Like 40 years of his life of being faithful to a goddess who has never cared about him, and suddenly in a moment of need she gave him a small gift.
So, with no knowledge of what just happened, Damian's been like walking a little bit behind the group, and he happens to just walk past that bench at that moment and looks around at all of the like depictions of dragons and just goes, "Ugh, religion."
Oh my god.
And then keeps walking.
The dude, Joel, he holds
That's
out
his
his
name now?
pouch.
That's his name now.
Yep, Joel, and his daughter's name is Ellie.
Yep. Hello.
He slowly, like, eventually stands up, still, like, shell-shocked, and with a little glimmer of hope in his eyes, and he walks out of the Clarion Basilica.
Well,
Ellie, we're eating good tonight.
that's not how Last of Us 2 ends.
Good thing it's only him and Ellie, so he can afford to get them to Amran.
They just got to get to Colorado next.
Yeah, as long as the clickers don't get him. As you guys sort of look around, I assume, while this was happening, eventually you see the dwarf that was pointed out to you, the Ordermaster. He leaves through one of the doors in the back. But as you guys approach the Abbess, she turns, and you can see that, like I said, she's tall, pale, dressed in this sort of drapey robe. She has her head like clean shaven, and you see that she's kind of weirdly flawless until you realize one of her eyes isn't real. It's very realistic, but it's definitely a glass eye. And she turns and faces all of you, sort of steeples her hands in front of her very calmly under her sleeves. And she says, "I don't believe I've seen any of you before. Welcome to the Clarion Basilica. How can I help you?"
I walk up right in front of her and slap down the High Priestess card.
And she looks down.
Well, that kind of says it all now, doesn't it?
I have more questions now. And
Uh.
she like crouches down and looks at Todd. She doesn't try to touch you, but she looks at the card. And
He's
she
going
looks at
full
Todd.
hey hey right now with like the eyes just like
And she recognizing immediately that this is a weird chicken. She says,
TM.
Do you have a deck under there?
I like put the card away. And I'm gonna pull 3 cards for her.
Okay.
I'm gonna lay them out in front of her face down and then flip them.
Are you
I'm
picking
going
3 or 2?
I'm picking 3 because I was just
Yes,
identifying her with the other card.
Oh, okay.
The first card that I flip is going to be the Ace of Wands. The second card is going to be Temperance. And the third card is going to be the Ten of Cups.
Interesting. So the Ace of Wands.
Looks cool.
The Ace of Wands, do you want to pick whether they're upright or reversed, or do you want me to pick?
You can pick.
Okay. The Ace of Wands comes out reversed. And she picks it up and looks it over. Does Todd know his tarot, or does he just pick cards based on what they look like?
He just picks cards.
Okay.
Because the old lady he worked for, he knows how tarot actually works, and so he's like, it doesn't matter what I pick. If the image is slightly relevant, she'll make it work.
Yeah. So as she looks over these, is keeping them in order in front of her, you see her kind of smile a little bit ruefully, and she looks down at Todd. She says, well, I didn't know you were a bird of talent.
Oh, he has many talents. Apparently.
Has he drawn for all of you before?
Yeah.
For most of us. I don't think I've gotten one yet.
As soon as Ezra says that they haven't had a card yet, Todd pulls another one and lays down the 3 of Swords in front of Ezra, which has basically storm clouds and a giant heart with like 3 swords driven through it.
Oh. Hold on.
Heartbreaker.
And that's a little metagame because I know how Ash builds characters.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll
Ezra,
I'll look at that and just kind
You get the 3 of Swords reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I will gather up the cards and put them all away.
So let me ask this, because I know what these mean, but unless somebody knows tarot, character-wise, there's no point to me saying it out loud. Does anybody in the group actually, like, as their character, feel like they know something about tarot?
No.
I don't think so.
Damian has started looking into it since meeting Todd.
Okay, cool.
I think like Ezra knows people who do tarot. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's not his forte.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll hold on to that for the Abbess in case it comes up later.
Yeah, so, well, the reason that we... By the way, you look lovely.
Oh, thank you.
I just have to remark upon beauty when I see it.
And you don't get a blush out of her.
Wow.
Actually, no. Make me a charisma check.
Okay.
Ezra 100% wears a fedora. Milady.
Oh,
Milady.
Abbess.
Hello there, milady. It feels like you need someone to run around and protect you.
No,
Sounds
it's
like-
not all but like that. I think he's just charming.
Ezra's spiritual weapon is a katana.
I don't think Ezra is charming, though he is. I think he's just flirty.
Oh my god.
That too, yeah. That's a 17.
17, huh? She does not blush, but she kind of smiles to herself, and she says, well, you look rather dashing yourself.
Oh, stop.
And
Anyway.
she stands up, she puts the cards back down for Todd. She stands up and says, now, I assume you didn't come here just to flirt with me.
No.
By the looks of it, I've got a few centuries on you. How can I help you? She
Well-
does not look very. She looks like, granted, elves look the same for about 500 years of their lives. She looks like she's on the younger centuries. So
Mhm.
her saying she has a few on you means she's like middle-aged and doesn't look it.
Mm.
Ew.
Chastity is not required here.
Well, we we do have a few questions, I suppose. We
Get away
came
from
in on
Magda.
a what?
You're starting to sound like Magda.
I did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you started
Oh!
slipping.
We have a few questions. I don't know.
It's alright.
All right. Hello.
No, we're not gonna go. We're not gonna be the Beatles
We're
Beats
just
up a
going to
child.
straight up Audrey Hepburn.
or Dick
Yeah.
Van Dyke.
I'm gonna be Paul McCartney.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Do you wanna?
that was actually
Sounds
pretty
like the
good.
vultures in the Jungle Book. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Well,
Yeah, they're supposed to be the
based on the
Beatles.
Beatles. Yeah.
I know. It's just so funny to
Um,
me.
Yeah, so we were on this cart. We were kind of tasked with being like security a little bit, but then everyone died. So,
And you see the sort of like gentle, welcoming smile go away.
yeah.
Like still welcoming, but like, oh dear.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But we did get a little bit of a hint as to what might be going on, and there were these. Apparently, there were dragons made of cloth. That's at least what we got.
I'm sorry, what?
That, it was from a dead guy. So maybe he was just remembering things a little weird.
Insight
I'm-
check. Is she genuinely surprised when she says, I'm sorry, what? As, like, she's surprised that she's hearing that? Or is she... Let me rephrase this. Is it a, I'm sorry, what, as in, I've never heard of that? Or an, I'm sorry, what, that actually sounds familiar?
Yeah, go ahead and make a thingy, make an insight check.
Make a
Make a
thingy.
thingy. I can't talk today.
24. I can't either. I'm right there with you.
It's kind of a little bit of both.
So there is a
Um,
recognition element of it.
There's a recognition of you're not sure what element, but there's also the I'm sorry, what the fuck did you just describe them as? Is
Gotcha.
kind of her like reaction.
Gotcha.
She says, dragons made of cloth.
Yeah.
Are you sure children weren't out flying kites?
Not unless
No, I'm not.
there's kites shredded a guy.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, so I don't know if that sounds familiar to you, but I figure dragons, Tiamat, they kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly, so.
That is sort of one of our specialties, yes. I do have to ask though. You said you were along with, I assume you were with one of the caravans. Are you meaning to investigate this matter, or are you just curious as you pass through?
Well, I mean, everyone that we knew did die. So,
Yes, but most people who go through that experience, which unfortunately there are a lot, most of them get out as fast as possible.
I think that we're looking to investigate what's happening in the town and see if maybe they're related.
Is something going on in town that I'm not aware of?
Well, at night, people disappear if they're out and about.
Well, yes, that happens all over the area.
I think we're wondering if they're related.
I would assume so after 20 years of experience, yes.
Insight check. Does
About
she
what?
seem like she cares that people are disappearing?
Make a roll.
Keep moving this. Oh fuck. That's fucking garbage. 7.
You don't get that she doesn't care.
I'm just not sure in like what capacity she cares.
With 7, you're not sure. You just know that it's not a lack of care.
well, if this is a common occurrence, I mean, why wouldn't you want to try and solve the problem rather than try and stave it off with dolls?
Don't take my, I suppose it's suspicion. Don't take my suspicion as a lack of wanting to solve the problem. It's just that this has been happening for 20 years. And there have been scores, if not hundreds, of people who've come through here promising to solve everything. And nothing ever comes of it. In fact, usually the only thing that does come of it is more dead foreigners.
Question:
Question?
the whole thing about the dragons being made of cloth.
Yes, I'm not sure about that.
I wonder if that might make more sense with them being like smoke. Wisps of smoke kind of look like cloth hanging in the air with the way they twist and swirl. So maybe smoke with a volcano, that might make a bit more sense.
That
I'm gonna
sounds more probable.
I'm gonna throw into Preston's head while he's talking in his own voice. Be
Oh
like,
fuck, that's
be
creepy.
like, I wonder if they ever show up during rainstorms.
Preston, you hear rainstorms show during up.
Oh, I forgot.
Also, is there anything that happens when it comes to rain with them? Maybe like disappearances don't happen?
Actually, when weather is difficult, especially high winds, we tend to see less problems.
Oh, yes! Sorry, I love being right.
But she says, just last fall, a hurricane passed by, not nearby, but close enough to cause some wind damage, and for probably 3 days on either side of it, we didn't see any disappearances. It would have been nice if not for the, repair project.
You have what we heard that there's a library here. Would you mind if I perused? See if maybe I could try and find some information or glean some additional knowledge from what your findings have been?
If you can manage to find something in one day that we haven't found in 20 years, you'd be a hero. But You are welcome to try.
No promises.
And she motions behind her to one of the two doors that sit behind the pulpit and the statue of Tiamat. She says, either of those two doors will take you in there. The library is on the first floor and extends into the basement. The full breadth of it is almost as wide as the footprint of the basilica, so there's plenty to go through.
And I assume in here is safe in case it gets dark and I don't realize it.
The Black Abbey is probably the safest place in the city, or town, but we prefer not to have people in the basilica at night. If you do need lodgings, if you can't find any in town, we do have residence halls.
We have lodging. I just want to double check, not trying to have a sleepover, but
We'll
you
let you know where are you staying?
it is the Ivory and Red.
I will make sure you're informed when it's time for you to head out to get there before dark.
I appreciate it. Would I be able to come back tomorrow if needed?
Yes, of course. During the daytime, the library is open to everybody. There are some sections that are not necessarily off limits, but controlled. And we prefer you don't take any books out, but it is open to everyone.
No, won't take any books out. Don't have a card for that.
But yeah, she motions to the doors, and you're free to go whenever you like. They do stand open, so there's not really any barriers to entry. But she turns to the rest of you.
I've like taken a seat in one of the pews
Mhm.
back behind the rest of the group, and I'll just like raise my cane up into the air.
And she walks over and takes a seat a respectable distance down the bench from you. Yes.
How frequently do people survive these attacks if they take place outside the wall?
That I'm aware of? Twice.
Would you be able to get us more information about those other occurrences?
I can try, but both of those people are long, long gone. I'll see if the Ordermaster has any notes about the events. As far as I know, these survivors didn't see much, or they don't remember much.
I'm more interested in just who they were and what they were doing rather than what they saw.
The both of them were not Ebonmane, but they were guards out on the beacons. We have every night a pair of guards that mans each of the beacons. So each night there are... The lighthouse is a separate one of its own. So each night there are about 54 people out there, a pair to each. And then the lighthouse keeper would make 55.
So they weren't outsiders. They were from Oscary.
Yes. One was at one of the northern beacons. We're still not sure how it happened. I had just become Abbess when this happened about 19 years ago. For some reason, the power to the beacon was cut, and they were scrambling to start the pyre to replace the light. The other was just last year. Another guard, new, She just disappeared one night while on watch, and then we found her again 3 days later on the opposite side of town.
If you could just send me what information you have regarding them, I would appreciate
Of
it.
course. Yes, the Ordermaster will know more, but I'll make sure to put that together for you. If I may ask, are you all part of some group, or are you just mercenaries? And she looks at Damian, she says, you look a little too serious to just be a mercenary.
I am part of the AMC, but in more of a advisory role. This is what I do.
She says, well, it's nice that they're finally taking an interest again after a decade.
They're not. It's just me.
Oh, you came across this on your own.
Was that a question?
Sort of.
I thought it was implied.
I don't know. It just seems strange that people come in from God's nowhere and suddenly have an interest in what's going on here. Most people are hired to care.
Insight check. Is she bothered by that? Or is she... Because what I'm reading, me, the player, is that she's happy someone has showed up to do something without being hired, even though we totally were. But can I read into that a little bit more?
Yeah.
Okay. 28.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Level 5. Level 5. Detective. You get a lot of suspicion out of her. There is a moment where she's like glad that someone cares, but you saying that the AMC has not taken an interest immediately makes her think, what else is in it for these people? You can kind of read this happening.
Damian, like, slowly using his cane to support himself, he gets up from the pew and kind of, like, moves closer to where she is and sits down. And then something kind of just, like, happens in a moment where Damian closes his eyes, and in the darkness, he just kind of sees a door and regards it with a little bit of fear and just reaches out a hand and puts it on the door. Then he opens his eyes and he puts a hand on the Abbess's shoulder very gently. I only leave places better than they were when I got there now. I'm going to do the same thing here. And then he'll take his hand off her shoulder and just stand up and not see what her response is.
Make a persuasion check with advantage.
Okay, I'm not good at these, but I will.
Oh, at least you got 2 chances.
10.
Yeah,
Ooh.
okay.
I have a 6 in my charisma, guys, so it's...
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't say.
I mean, we're still at the very start of the campaign. Like, a lot of DCs aren't going to be too hard. She kind of considers that for a moment. And she says, well, I would like to see what all you can ferret out and see how you get along in Oscary for a bit. Forgive my trepidation, but we've had a lot of strangers come here and promise things, and either end up missing, often dead, or leave us when it doesn't go the way they planned. I am more than happy to help you, but I would like to see what you all can do first. I tend to judge outsiders by what the town comes to think of them and by their deeds. I've learned to put a little less stock in words.
Well, lucky for you, we're very good at deeds. So.
Is that an innuendo? That felt like an innuendo.
Okay.
We're very good at
Deeds.
Yeah, she nods slightly. She says, well, I have some information to gather, I suppose. Is there anything else I can get for all of you, or any questions you might have for me to get you started?
No.
And she stands and heads off to one of the doors at the back, the same one that the Ordermaster went through.
Would I be able to go up to her separate from the others?
Yeah.
So where they're not able to hear me, and just say, I did wonder.
I assume you guys are like walking and talking into the library. Yeah, but she'll look down as you guys step in.
I did wonder, were there any is there any spiritual activity in town at all? Any suspected hauntings or anything like that that you might know of?
You know, in previous campaigns, people might have laughed at that. But since the death shift, that's a genuine question now. She nods, sort of half nods, and says,
Sorry, I just heard the chat.
yeah. Playing Supernatural with Sam and Dean up in here.
I mean, kind of.
No,
Oh,
literally, Sam and Dean were a source of inspiration for Damian and Ezra.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. She kind of half nods. She says, well, with any port town, there's any number of rumors and stories about ghost ships and sailors haunting near the lighthouse or along the shores, but as for in town itself, the amount of missing people and the amount of death in this region in the past 20 years means that, yes, Oscary is on its way to being worthy of the word haunted.
Is there any particular area, like a building or...
Well, I don't spend that much time myself in town, but there are always plenty of people willing to tell you a good story about their home or their neighbor's home. But most of the ones that I actually put stock in have to do with either Castle Edwinfell at night, the lighthouse, or some of the beacons where people have gone missing near them. The highest concentration, as I understand it from rumor, is the Dorman Woods to the south of town.
Okay.
Can we say that I overheard some of this? Is anybody being careful to avoid the chicken?
stealth check for chicken, perception
Okay.
check for hot boy.
I'll take that.
Yeah, you're Ezra's our Essek in this campaign.
Yep. I dropped
21.
my dice and I don't know where it went. Hold on. I dropped my dice.
Hurry up, Ash!
You got like
I just-
70 more.
I dropped my dice and I'm in the process of monkey pawing it up with my foot.
Yeah. It doesn't work great with socks on,
bad. 15.
Todd, you slip in behind these guys, and they are none the wiser. Your little
Okay.
chicken talons don't make a sound. You will see. I should probably describe the library. As you get in here, this part of the library is kind of smallish and pretty packed. You see that this section is full of just wall-to-wall shelves, and a lot of the stuff in this particular area seems to be works of fiction or like mythologies or even some like religious texts in one particular small area that's separate from everything else. Mythology in Atlaran is an interesting subject because there are so many things that we would call myth in the real world that are not in Atlaran. So
It's the nonfiction section.
yeah, it's interesting. There are some things that are in the myth section because no one's able to prove them, and some things that are there because nobody fucking believes that this really happened. And then there's the religion section in which they're like, well, these characters do exist, but I don't know if these stories happened. So it's, you know, an interesting mix and match. But you will see Todd can read, so you'll see that there is a system to how they're sorted. For like the fictional stuff, it's kind of just sorted alphabetically. And then for the non-fiction stuff, they have a version of kind of a Dewey Decimal System going on, but less stupid.
So like the Library of Congress system.
I don't know.
It's much better.
I don't know. They are sorted by, sort of depending on the subject, they are sorted by authors and locations for the nonfiction stuff. So that way you can kind of figure out, you can kind of go to a section and be like, ah, yes, I know this thing is from Geralt Shell, and that sort of thing. And then there is a catalog of stuff that is down below the Basilica, which is significantly larger and more varied. You get that this is the section where the not important books are. Yep. Basically the entirety of this thing is like wood paneling, and then anywhere that there's stone, it's painted a lovely shade of sort of leafy green. And there's a lot of overstuffed furniture too. Ash, was there anything else you wanted to talk to Guinevere about?
No.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
good.
yeah, if you leave her, she will continue on to go find the Ordermaster. What are Preston and Damian doing?
Preston's going to take a cursory look around this first floor of the library. And once he sees that this is kind of like not where a lot of the like more important stuff is probably kept, he would
there's
end up
nothing research worthy unless you're into mythology.
Yeah, he'll end up heading down, but he is going to look at Damian at one point and just kind of quietly whisper, "This has been going on for 20 years. And why is this place not a ghost town? Why hasn't everybody just picked up and moved?"
There's a few different reasons. One, the church offers some semblance of protection, as do the dolls, so there's hope for people that live here that they're protected. Two, not everyone can just pick up their life and move. It takes a certain kind of will to be able to leave a place like this and start over. Not everyone has that.
Kinda feels like both those reasons are related, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They have a little bit of hope, and that's why they are uninspired to just vamoose.
Well, there's also the
Oh my god, you're here too.
question. Yeah,
Oh, crike!
sorry. There's also the question of money. It takes money to move as well. I think that's probably the bigger thing.
Yeah, but here's the other thing, is that people work together to build a society, to build a town. It's what people have been doing forever. So there's no reason that 30 people couldn't just wander off and then just work together to build a new town away from all this.
Here's the other thing, though, Preston. It's not safe to leave.
Mm.
If the leaders of your town told you that the safest place to stay was in their town, and you didn't know what the rest of the world was like, you wouldn't leave either.
In a place like this, I doubt anyone's ever left, ever. Not for a vacation or anything like that, so...
Probably, but at some point something's got to give.
You're an idealist, and I love that. Really, I'm just mad about it, but... that's not how the world works.
No, it isn't.
Ash, this is my favorite character that you've played.
I love that pretty doll
in
face.
any
Yeah.
campaign, this is my favorite character
Aw.
you've played.
I'm gonna head downstairs, see if I can dig up anything. It's up here's not much anything good.
That was a good call with the smoke.
Thanks.
What are you gonna look into?
Well, I guess smoke dragons. You know, like clothing line dragons. You know, see if we can find like just someone's random laundry out there murdering people.
Laundry dragons.
See if maybe I can find any descriptions of what's causing the disappearances in the town. Maybe see if I can find something else about the dolls. Kind of creepy.
I mean, yeah. Pretty much anything revolving, like, you know, mass groups of people worshipping something is a little creepy, but...
Yeah, I don't know what I'll find, but I don't find anything today. Not a lot of time. I figure I'll come back tomorrow. Although I am a little curious if this is the safest place, as the Abbess said. Why wouldn't they want somebody to stay here at night?
Good question.
While these guys are talking, can I make a cursory round of the library and see if I'm looking to see if there are any hidden doorways or trick bookshelves?
Make me an investigation check.
Cool, that's going to be awful because it's +0.
Damn it, that's what I was gonna look for, and now I have to go to my plan B.
You can look for it. You don't know what the chicken is doing.
I know, but
Oh, 3. Too small. Way
Uh,
too small. Can't see high enough.
No.
Yeah.
You find something.
Oh,
So
God.
while you're exploring, do you explore in the upper area or the basement?
The library has 2 areas.
Yeah, there's the upper bit that has like a lot of the fiction books, and then there's the lower area where Preston's going to like research.
Oh, I'm gonna look in the lower area. I kind of wanted to do both, but because they were talking for a little while, so I imagine Chicken is just like darting like down and around and like looking at everything.
Okay. So you guys head downstairs, and you'll see that the lower library, the under library, is very different from the upper area. There are the whole thing is completely made of stone except for the ceiling, which is wood, with pretty hefty beams that go across it, and from these beams hang kind of chandeliers, but these chandeliers are not like grand, like French ballroom chandeliers. They are a steel ring from which, at different lengths, hang long silvery bars, and each of them are different levels above the floor. But these rings are massive. They're like 30 feet across. So there's these bars hanging all over the place. And these bars give off a sort of gentle colorless glow. They're not like fluorescent, they're almost like they're almost kind of cold feeling, and almost like moonlight, like the color of moonlight. And everything is cast in this nice kind of like, moonlit glow. And you notice that if you pick up some books, the pages almost light up underneath these particular lights. So they're
It's a
very
black light.
kind of, yeah, a little bit. Like everything looks kind of dim, but as soon as
There's
you
that
open,
one book.
as soon as you open a book, the paper, regardless of what color it is, lights up and the text stays very, very dark. So it's like a perfect reading light and kind of feels easy on the eyes. Everything is in shades of dark blue and black. It's very like nighttime feeling. And then you'll see across the sections of wall that are not covered by shelves and across the ceiling, there are little pinpricks of silver light everywhere, like a starry sky. If you don't look close enough, it's almost like being under the night sky, surrounded by bookshelves. And in the center of this library, there's sort of like a pit that's like 3 steps down, that is covered in very plush furniture. And at the center of it all, there is a probably basketball-sized orb set into the floor that looks exactly like the moon. Even has like all the topographical features, and it just slowly turns in place. And you can see that the current moon phase, even though it is daytime, the current moon phase is shown with part of the orb being dark. It is the pale yellow moon, but a little more silvery than it would normally be. Anyway, Todd, you run around this area knowing that it's a little harder to see you than normal down in here. And at one point you find a shelf where there's a section of books at the bottom, like near the floor, that are missing. It's like a little cubby hole. And immediately you're like, why are all those missing? Why is just a big chunk of books missing? And so you kind of push yourself in
detective.
Yeah, I am a detective. And you kind of like get yourself in that little cubby.
Oh no, I will say when Todd sees those, he's like,
Yeah.
he's been watching Damian pretty closely. So he's like, why are these books missing? Suspicious.
But you kind of like
So much breath work.
get in
Yeah.
there to see what's in there, and please make me a
Oh god.
dex save.
Oh, it's a rat. A dex save.
Yes.
21.
Okay, cool. You manage to jolt your head back just in time that the claw of a black house cat just clips your beak but doesn't hurt you. And you realize there's a cat bed shoved up in this bookshelf, and there is a black cat with golden eyes
Aw.
just doing that low thing.
Aw.
Is it coming after me?
No, it's not. It's laying in the cat bed.
I'm gonna torture it. I'm just gonna
Cool.
I'm gonna start like just wandering around because
No.
now I'm convinced the cat is hiding something important.
Ah.
What books is the cat sitting on? Is it anything good?
It's not sitting on any books. It's got a cat bed in the bottom part of the shelf next to some books.
Oh, what are the books next to it?
This
Are
particular
they books on cats? Are they
shelf-
topographical?
This this particular shelf, you see holds a lot of research about Zeta and Adena, the two moons. If you're curious about the ones directly next to the cat, you see that one of them contains like kind of it's research about a creation story, so it's technically nonfiction. It's sort of a journal talking about the creation of the two moons by Elen and Zerai.
Okay. Can I see anything like behind the bed? Or does it look like there's like a hole in the wall behind it?
With that investigation check you did? No, you sure cannot.
Okay. I'm gonna... Is everybody down there yet, or am I by myself?
Yeah, everybody's wandering around. You
Oh,
see
okay.
Preston wandering around nearish to you.
Okay. I'm going to... I will leave the cat alone then, I guess.
It keeps like growling and like hissing at you, but it doesn't chase you. It just kind of stays where it is.
Oh. And I will... Because I'm sure that cat has like a max of 3 hit points. So I'm not gonna attack it.
Don't kill the cat.
Yeah.
Fireball.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in the library. Oh god.
It's like fucking Griswold family Christmas, just gone. I'm gonna wander around. I'm gonna try to maintain that stealth that I had earlier, or I can roll a new one. But
I'm gonna say since you messed with the cat, you're gonna need a new one.
okay. Oh, 10. It's not great.
Okay, not bad. Not bad.
So he's gonna wander around and start looking at book titles, and I'm gonna look for some specifically. I can't see very high, so
No.
I'll hop up on shelves if I have to.
You can see like the first two.
Yeah, I'm looking for like bestiary books,
Okay.
or since I heard what Ezra was talking about, I'm also going to look for one specifically like a bestiary on ghosts. So like types of ghosts or spirits or things.
Okay. All right. Yeah, make me a new investigation check in that case, since you've shifted your focus.
Ooh, nat 20 for
Good
20.
shit. Okay.
Ooh.
So, bestiary stuff.
Mhm.
You do find a number of pretty highly detailed accounts of sort of both flora and fauna on the Isle of Killian. This area is generally, if you want to compare it to a real world place, you can compare it to like, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England. So there's not a whole lot of like big animals on Killian Isle.
Okay.
But there is like a pretty good like fox population and like lots of different variations of colors.
Make a mental note of that.
There are loads of super colorful birds that live throughout Thurgrir, a lot of which display more uncommon colors like blue jays are pretty common in third grade, and lots of different like blue colored birds and even like purple ones. You
Tufted
do,
tits.
yeah.
Yeah.
You do also see that there is some research on the recently, they're still very endangered, but not as close to extinction. Research about the efforts to restore an aurora nightingale population in third rear, and it's been fairly successful because they're birds that really enjoy this particular climate and access to the like pine forests along the mountains. So there's a number of wild aurora nightingales here, and that's probably the most interesting creature you'll find. As for what was the other thing you asked for? Ghosts?
I'm looking for ghost stuff,
Okay.
like types of ghosts.
Types of
I'm
ghosts.
specifically looking for something that looks like a non-trademark Dementor. Maybe like a pro-LGBTQ Dementor.
Yeah.
A Dementor, but instead of black cloth, it's a rainbow flag.
Yeah, exactly.
So in Atlaran, a Dementor-esque creature would be known as a wraith.
Okay.
They're usually kind of, depending on how much of them you can see, they're usually draped in sort of flowing cloth, often kind of skeletal or at least very gaunt. And a lot of times they're missing their eyes.
Okay.
There are tons and tons of legends about like particular wraiths, like famous ones that have names. Senna herself, when she was known as the Grey Lady, is an example of a less sort of grotesque wraith. Whereas Senka, her sort of evil form, was considered also a less grotesque version, but a more malevolent version. There's all kinds of stuff like stories about a wraith that haunts the castle in Lund, which is where you guys came from. You don't see anything really regarding Oscary. But you do see that in some of these books that you're able to reach, there are some like notes jotted down in the margins that are probably from the past few hundred years, since the Death Shift, basically. These books have seen a lot more usefulness recently than they would have in centuries past.
Is there any mention of like, if a god can become a wraith, or like people can become a wraith, can a dragon become a wraith?
Wraiths are usually humanoid, human adjacent. But given you probably wouldn't find anything directly about dragons, but wraith is usually a word for a humanoid thing. The spirits of animals and like creatures like dragons that have, hyper intelligence compared to humans, they're something else entirely. They kind of fall into the general spirit category because they all have unique names.
Okay. Since it was a nat 20, was there anything I saw in those books that seemed similar to what we were told?
With a natural 20, one thing that catches your attention is a book about the ethereal plane and how it connects with the ethereal plane sits kind of on top of the material plane. It is a separate dimension, but is pretty much exactly the same. The Feywild and the Shadowfell are also mirror realms. And this book kind of talks about those two and how they all relate. The ethereal realm is the realm of like spirits and ghosts. And it does mention that it is known that some spirits come from or go to the Shadowfell. But as for what you're specifically looking for, you do not
Okay.
find anything here.
Okay.
But there is a connection to the ethereal and the Shadowfell.
Okay, yeah, and that, right. So I will, once I have that book like down on the ground and open, I am going to get Preston's attention.
Okay. And with that, we're going to pause because we have to end this episode, but we'll get into more research and crazy fun shit in the next time. I love libraries. I love library moments in games.
I love Lamp.
What?
It was a dumb reference. Never mind.
Okay.
No, it was a good one.
Sure.
From about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, 60% of the time, that reference works every time.
We're not sidetracking. We are not sidetracking. But yeah, we will be back with another fun episode of research and figuring out mysteries of Oscary and the ghosts and strange cloth dragons whose eyes are made out of bras. That should be fun. But
Made out of bras?
Yeah.
They have like chameleon eyes, especially if it's a Madonna bra.
Oh,
Yeah.
like okay. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh my
what?
God.
They have like black lace eyes. I was like, I
Yeah.
was very
Yep.
confused.
Yeah,
That'd
it's
be
like,
really cool.
it's a pair of
but-
long johns with a shawl with bra for eyes.
Black lace bra.
Yeah.
And a thong.
That's what's been killing everybody in horrible
God.
fucking ways. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining us. We're still working out our schedule as we record these new episodes. But once they're up, you can find them on YouTube, Spotify, other podcast platforms. And as soon as we know what that schedule's gonna be, we'll let you know on Twitter or YouTube and other things.
It's called 10 now. Thank you very much. It's not Twitter anymore.
Oh
called
man,
10?
dating this episode.
No,
I thought it was called shitter.
No, apparently the X is supposed to be pronounced any way you want it to be.
Oh my god.
Oh, I put
hate
the
that.
X instead of the TW, so it's shitter.
Most people have been calling it Zitter, which I hate.
Oh, see, I like shitter better.
I'm just. not-
Ew.
Elon Musk needs to be stopped.
I'm just not calling it anything anymore. I quit.
Yeah,
I just-
I'm still
I'm
calling
done.
it.
Quit.
I'm still calling it the Bird app because I miss the bird.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we will be back with another episode shortly. We're gonna go get water, eat food, and come back. So take us out, Koop.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely are going to be coming back on a different day, not the same day.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Why
Take
do we
me
need
out,
to
Koop.
uphold this facade? Take
Bye,
us out.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.